In episode 148 of the Guitar Music Theory podcast, I explain and demonstrate syncopation. Greetings, guitar engineers. Welcome to the Guitar Music Theory podcast. I am your host, Desi Cerna. And today I'm going to answer the question, what is syncopation? Syncopation is when there's placements of rhythmic stress where they wouldn't normally occur. Another way to put it is when music has changes or accents that fall on something other than the most predictable beats, it is said to be syncopated. I'm going to explain this in today's podcast, and I'm going to demonstrate by playing some examples from familiar songs. I've got songs by Imagine Dragons, Adele, Georgia Satellites, The Black Crowes, KT Tunstall, Neil Young, and more. It's going to be a great discussion, but before we dive in, let me invite all of my podcast listeners over to my website, guitarmusictheory.com. Answer the question I ask you about your playing, and I'll send you free custom video instruction that is calibrated to your current level. Whether you're a beginner still needing to learn the basics, or you need help with bar chords, finger picking, playing lead, worship guitar, or you want to delve deeply into music theory, I have a free video course for you. I can put you on a plan to fill gaps in your knowledge and fill gaps in your playing so you can become a better player, you can move forward and reach your music goals. Enroll in your free video course now at guitarmusictheory.com. You can click on the link in the podcast show notes. All right, we are ready to dive in, and I have created a video and posted it to my social media profiles, so you can find it on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Probably best to view this type of video on Facebook or YouTube, so go over there and just search for Desi Cerna Syncopation, and that video should come up. And make sure you are subscribed and following me, and that you click like and comment and share and do all of that good stuff. So I'm actually going to approach this podcast a little differently than the video, and I'm going to explain things a little differently here. But the video is still helpful because you can actually watch me play some of these examples. So we're going to dive in. So when music has changes or accents that fall on something other than the most predictable beats, it's said to be syncopated. And by the way, that's my definition taken from Guitar Rhythm and Technique for Dummies, page 29. So, for example, let me dive into some song examples here. We're going to start with the Neil Young song. So think about the song Heart of Gold by Neil Young, and how the verses, the strumming there's nothing irregular about it. It's very predictable. Everything's on the most predictable beats, right? So there's no syncopation there, even though there is some 16th note strumming and stuff like that. But think about the intro to that song. So notice how that chord change, you're going from an E minor 7 to a D, but when you come back to E minor 7, it's actually on the upbeat or the and of beat 2. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. That's considered syncopation there. Same thing happens when you get into the chorus, you know, keeps me searching for a heart of gold with the So here, E minor, G, when I get to the C chord, so 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. So again, the chord change or the rhythmic emphasis there is not on a typical downbeat, so we would say that that is syncopated. And that's Heart of Gold by Neil Young. So in some cases, syncopation can create a sense of groove or funkiness, and you hear this in the song Black Horse and the Cherry Tree by K.T. Tunstall. So hopefully you're familiar with it. I'll just play a little bit of it for you. All right, so this is based on 16th notes, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. But instead of putting the emphasis and the chord changes on the most predictable downbeats, you're putting emphasis on some of the ands or some of the E's or some of the uhs and the 1 E and a 2 E and a. So some of these accents might be a downstroke, but it's actually on the upbeat, the and some of them are on an upstroke. It's going to be the E or the part of the beat. Also notice that change when you come from B7 back to E minor. That happens on what? 1, 2, 3 E. So it's like 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E. It's actually on 3 E is when I go back to E minor with an upstroke. You hear me tap my foot, there's a little break in the strumming on beat 3, and it's the very next 16th note at 3E, where I go from B7 back to E minor. That's considered syncopation. We've got rhythmic emphasis on something other than the most predictable downbeats. All right, I have switched over to my electric guitar here. I'm playing my Squier Telecaster, which has been modified and upgraded by Bluesman Vintage Guitars here in Spring Hill, Tennessee. And I actually made a video talking about the upgrades we made. And you can go to YouTube and just search Desi Cerna Squier Telecaster, and you'll see that. This was a $400 guitar when I got it. But now it actually, in my opinion, sounds more like an American-made, and the pickups were custom wound and everything. The hardware was all replaced and everything. You'll see that there are, by the way, sidetrack here, there are a ton of negative comments on that video. People are like, these guys don't know what they're talking about. That was a waste of time and money. The guitar was fine as is, or you should have bought a made in Mexico, or blah, 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 blah. I knew what my options were. I tried out different guitars. I know what this guitar sounded like. I tried to use it live prior to making the upgrades, and it just didn't cut it. I did some recording too. And since John at Bluesman Vintage Guitars made these upgrades, it is significantly improved. I use this. I just played some gigs over the weekend with it. So you can ignore all the haters that say we don't know what we're talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I'm very happy with this guitar. It's plugged into my Kemper profiling amplifier, and I'm using some profiles of a Marshall amplifier here. And I want to talk about, I'm going to compare two songs. Keep Your Hands to Yourself by Georgia Satellites and Hard to Handle by the Black Crowes. One is syncopated, one is not. I'm going to play along with the backing track here. This is the audio backing track that's available to paid Ultimate Guitar subscribers here. I'm pulling up the tab. Four, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so nothing syncopated here. This is a straightforward drum beat, straightforward rhythm guitar. Everything is emphasizing the most predictable beats. All right, now let's compare that to Hard to Handle by the Black Crowes. And what you're going to notice is that Hard to Handle is syncopated because the offbeats are emphasized as much as the beats. You hear that in the drum beat too. Listen to where the snare placement is, and then listen to the placement of the notes, and then listen when I go into the rhythm where the placement of the chords is. All right, let's start by talking about that drum beat. So instead of just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like you'd expect, there's an emphasis on the offbeat. Specifically, it's the of beat 2 if you're counting 16th notes. 1 E and a 2 E and So you also have the snare hits on beats 2 and 4. That's where you'd expect them to be, but then you've got an extra hit on the of beat 2. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. That's syncopation, people. Think about the guitar part that comes in. Notice how those notes are not landing on the downbeat. It's not it's that's some syncopation too. And then of course when the rhythm guitar comes in. Whoops, I put in an extra strum. It should be. If we count this, it's 1, 2, 3, and 4 E. 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 And that's what makes this song funky. Of course, this is a cover. It's based on an older, R&B song here, but it's a great example of syncopation, and I just thought to compare that to Georgia Satellites because it's the first thing that came to my mind when I thought about these kind of, crunchy, kind of bluesy rock songs. How one is pretty straightforward, but the other has a lot of syncopation in it. All right, well, moving on, the jazz funk fusion song Chameleon by Herbie Hancock features a variety of syncopated rhythms that intentionally make the music feel offbeat. I'm going to pull up a track here from karaoke-version.com. Let's listen to this one. All right, so a lot of syncopation on the drums there, doing some things similar to what we heard in Hard to Handle with some of those snare hits on the offbeat and not where you would typically expect to hear them. And then there's syncopation here. That little climb up really isn't syncopated. It climbs up and it hits the tonic pitch there right on the downbeat where you would expect it, and then it walks up to the next chord change. So I wouldn't really say that's syncopated because we kind of expect things to walk up and land right there on that strong downbeat. But it's the notes that come after those walk-ups that's very syncopated. Hear how those are landing on different offbeats there, and that makes this music sound very funky, and there's a lot of emphasis on those beats. And again, this together with the way the drums are played and everything creates this. It intentionally makes the music feel like offbeat and funky. That's what Herbie Hancock was going for. Now, we can't talk about offbeat and funky without mentioning the music of James Brown. His use of syncopation was a key element in shaping the sound of his music. And we will talk about one of his songs, I Got You, I Feel Good, in just a moment. All right, we're back, and we are talking about I Got You, I Feel Good by James Brown. This is a good example of syncopation and how it can make the music sound funky, can give it a groove and give it a dynamic feel. I'm back on ultimateguitar.com here. I'm using their backing track that's part of the paid version here. By the way, it's super inexpensive to have a paid version of Ultimate Guitar. Then you can take advantage of their tab players. You get their best tabs and some of these backing tracks and stuff. So here we go. So let's just listen to this. When it gets to the end, I'm going to play along here. Check out the heavy syncopation coming up here. That little riff right there. The whole band is putting emphasis on these notes. And listen to how they are landing on the offbeats here. I'm going to jump ahead towards the end of the song where they repeat that part. And speaking of offbeat, I think I was a little offbeat there. But let's move on. So a lot of music that was inspired by early R&B and funk is going to feature syncopated rhythms on the drums, other instrumentation, or in the guitar parts. Play That Funky Music by Wild Cherry is a good example. It's driven by a syncopated guitar that is emphasizing offbeats. And here's a backing track. I'm going to come in with the funky, scratchy guitar. So listen to when those chords are landing on a predictable downbeat or on some offbeat. Right, if I tap my foot here. Like that part. Those are totally on the offbeats there, but that is what is emphasized, and that's part of what creates that funky driving groove here. So one of the key elements of funk music is the use of syncopation. But not all songs that use syncopation are considered funky. We saw that with my first example, Heart of Gold by Neil Young. So let's talk about some rock examples where there's a different type of syncopation that is not necessarily creating a funky groove, but where you have an emphasis on kind of unexpected beats. And the first example of this would be Money Talks by AC/DC. And they do something very interesting in the chorus here where they put an emphasis on beat 4. So I've got a karaoke track here from karaoke-version.com. I'm going to use. Hopefully this keeps the copyright police off my back here. And let's just listen to this as it's leading into the chorus, and I'll count. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that's kind of unusual. You know, we would expect to have a chord change on, at the beginning of the measure or maybe halfway through the measure, but to put it on beat 4, that's an example of syncopation. 2, 3, 4. Whoops. Let's get a more rockin' tone. 1, 2, 3, 4. So kind of an unusual placement there. 1, 2, 3, 4. To have a chord change on beat 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Something similar happens in the song Believer by Imagine Dragons. So here, you're putting emphasis on beat 3. It's really interesting how this chorus starts here. It actually begins on beat 3 of all places, and it can kind of throw you off if you're used to music that is going to have chord changes on predictable beats, or if it's going to have choruses that start on predictable beats. So here's a karaoke track. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, so just a little different. That's an example of syncopation, where they put emphasis on kind of an unpredictable beat there. You might expect that big chorus to come in right on beat 1 of the measure, but it doesn't. Instead, it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that counts as an example of syncopation, and one that we would not necessarily say adds funkiness to the groove. All right, well, no discussion of syncopation would be complete without talking about pushes and hesitations. So a push, or an anticipation, is when a chord change happens a half beat earlier than expected. And you hear this in Twist and Shout by the Beatles. The D and the G chords are right on the downbeat. But the A chord falls on the and, or the upbeat, of beat 4 before the downbeat of the next bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Here it comes in early, a half beat early. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's hear it with the track. So if you were playing the song in a band, they would say, hey, don't forget we push into that A. And that's what that means. You can call it an anticipation, but usually in music circles what I hear is a push. They'll say, hey, remember on this song we're pushing the changes in the chorus or something like that. And that's just a reminder of the band that the chords aren't coming in where you might normally expect on the downbeat of the measure. They're coming in a half beat early. And the opposite of a push is a hesitation. So this is when a change happens a half beat later than expected. And you hear this in the verses to Adele's Rolling in the Deep. And I'm going to switch back to my acoustic guitar here. And let me play along with the karaoke track. And what I want you to notice is how where you expect the chord change to happen, it doesn't happen, and then it comes in a half beat later. All right, where is it? Here we go.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out and I'll lay your ship bare. See how I leave with every piece of...
Well, actually, let me pause it here. So I'm starting here. Instead of going on the change, it comes in a half beat later. 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Did you catch that? Those are called hesitations. You're hesitating on the chain. Let's do it with the track again. Maybe back it up a little bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Oh, wait a minute. This song actually has a push in it too. You actually push into that last chord before you return to the tonic to repeat the chord progression. So listen to it. We have hesitations and then a push. Everything comes in a half beat late, and then that last chord will come in a half beat early. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So that's a great example of a type of syncopation there where you're hesitating on some changes and then you're pushing into others. So, in summary, syncopation is when accents fall on beats you don't expect. Syncopation adds interest, variety, groove, funk, and sometimes an element of surprise to music. Make sure you check out the video that I posted to Facebook and YouTube. You can just go to either one of those platforms and just search Desi Cerna Syncopation. All right, podcast 148 is a wrap. So now you understand what syncopation is, and you will hopefully now recognize it when you encounter it in music, and maybe you can add it into your own playing and your own compositions. If you'd like to suggest a topic for me to discuss in future podcast episodes, just go to my website, guitarmusictheory.com, scroll down and click on the contact link, fill out the form, and send me a message. And don't forget, if you have yet to enroll in one of my free video courses, you can head over to the website, answer the question that I ask you about your playing, and I'll send you free custom video instruction that's calibrated to your current level. Whether you're a beginner still needing to learn the basics, or you need help with bar chords, finger picking, playing guitar solos, worship guitar, or you actually want to delve deeply into music theory, I have a free video course for you. I'll get you on the right track so you can start filling in gaps in your knowledge and your playing so you can move forward and reach your music goals. Enroll in your free video course now at guitarmusictheory.com. You can click on the link in the podcast show notes. All right, guitar engineers, thanks for listening. I'm Desi Cerna. Before you go, be sure to subscribe to this podcast, give it a 5-star rating, and leave a great review if you can. Also, consider sharing links to my podcast on social media and helping me promote it. You can also make a donation in any amount by clicking on the donate button on my website, and that can help me continue to produce this great content and distribute it for free. All right, that's all I need to say. You know what's next. Keep playing and stay tuned for more.